Hello everyone, how's it going, and welcome to today's Wild Rift guide. In today's guide, we're taking a look at the Scorn of the Moon Diana. Diana is an AP assassin that is mainly played in the mid lane, but can also be played in the Baron lane or the jungle. Diana is a great team fight mage and can initiate fights with her dashes and ultimate that can pull multiple enemies towards her. Onto the build with Diana, you want to make sure you build items that give Diana a lot of ability power, so all of her abilities can do a lot of damage, especially during them big team fights. Rod of Ages as a first item is really nice because it makes Diana that little bit tanky, because with Diana you will be in the front face of the enemy champions, you will be dashing around a lot on top of the enemy, so you need that little bit of extra tankiness. So you get the maximum health, ability power and maximum mana. You also have the veteran passive, which allows you to stack up more health, mana and ability power over time at a rate of 1 every 45 seconds at maximum of 10 stacks. So it allows you to scale well into the mid and the late game as well, giving you that little bit of extra tankiness and also giving you some more ability power. You then have Death Cap as the second item, increasing your overall ability power by 40% and just giving you a bunch of ability power. This is more of a burst Diana build, so you won't have Nash's Tooth, but I'll talk about that a little bit later on. For the boots, Ionian boots for the extra ability haste and also Ionian stasis. Sometimes when you dash forward and you use your ultimate, sometimes you won't have that dash up and available again if you do mess up her combos. So having stasis in there available is quite nice. You can use the stasis and then hopefully by that time your dash will be up and available, so you can dash away to safety or keep on dashing forward to try and get some more kills. You now have Void Star for the extra ability power and also the magic penetration to help against champions that are building a lot of magic resist. Morella Nomicon for again a little bit of extra tankiness and ability power, more magic penetration and also applying grievous wounds so you can reduce the healing of the enemy champions. And then for last item we have Infinity Orb, which allows your spells to crit when enemies are below 35% health, gives you movement speed, magic penetration and also more health and ability power. Now I mentioned the item very briefly. That is Nash's Tooth. Nash's Tooth does get used sometimes on Diana. You will see people building this sometimes. I feel like Nash's Tooth is more if you want to go for the split push game. You want to focus more on 1 versus 1 and not the team fight. Whereas team fight, you want this heavy burst build, so your ultimate can do the most damage as possible. With Nash's Tooth, you get a little bit of attack speed. You do get quite a lot of ability power and ability haste, but allows your attacks to deal bonus magic damage plus 15% of your AP. So it's more about on hit Diana with Nash's Tooth, so you can do more damage to towers. You could do more 1 versus 1 damage as well with the auto attacks. But in my opinion, I still think it's best to go for this full burst build for Diana with all of these items. For the runes, Conqueror, still a really good rune for Diana. Sometimes people use Electrocute, but I don't think Electrocute is really worth it. Conqueror is really good because you can use your dash multiple times during team fights, which allows you to stack up the adaptive 4 stacks, also with your other abilities as well if you do land them. And then at max stacks, you get that extra bit of ability power. Triumph, really nice. Allows you to restore missing health when you're getting takedowns and also deal more damage to enemies that are below 35% health. Hunter Titan for the maximum health in the early game and also the scaling maximum health and tenacity. And then Hunter Genius for the ability haste and the scaling ability haste when you get a unique takedown. Now you can change out Hunter Genius for Sweet Tooth if you feel like you're struggling a little bit during the laning phase with Diana, which can be a little bit of a struggle. So Sweet Tooth can help you out a little bit, restore the mana and health if you need. And then for the spells, Flash and Barrier. Now Barrier can be changed to multiple other spells. You can go for Ignite if you want to play more aggressive, or you can go for Exhaust as well. Ignite obviously more aggressive. Exhaust if you're against maybe an assassin or someone like an Akshan or someone like that that's looking to dive on top of you. Exhaust can definitely help with that one. But that's everything for the build. Let's move on to the abilities. First up is Diana's passive, which is Moon Silver Blade. Using ability causes Diana's next 3 attacks to gain 100% attack speed for a few seconds. And every third attack deals a bonus magic damage in an area. So it's a nice little AoE attack that can help, especially when you're trying to clear the minion waves. And then this passive deals 50% damage to structures and 110% damage to monsters. This also makes Diana jungle really good as well because of the AoE attacks. It allows you to clear the jungle a lot quicker. But every single time you auto attack, so 1, 2, and you can see the third attack, the blade starts to shine, and you can see that is the AoE attack. And then after using ability, you can auto attack 3 times, and as you can see, the attack speed gets increased by quite a bit. So this means that sometimes you don't even need Nash's Tooth, because when you're using abilities in between auto attacks, you already get a lot of attack speed. For Diana's first ability, we have Crescent Strike, which unleashes an arcing bolt of energy that deals magic damage and applies Moonlight for a few seconds. Now Moonlight I'll explain a little bit later on, but this ability is actually quite interesting because it's very different to other abilities. As you can see, it's basically an arc, what it says. So it's in a kind of a rounded, I guess, area, which makes it quite interesting. So most of the time with Diana, you kind of want to play left to right, which means that you can use this arc to your advantage. So say for example, there's a lot of minion waves, you can use that arc to hit multiple minions. If you're playing right to left though, then it's going to be much difficult. So if you're playing over here, you won't be able to clear the minion wave as well. You'll just be able to hit probably 1 or 2 minions with the edge of the first ability. So it makes it really nice, to be honest. It's really good for poking as well during the laning phase. You can hit multiple enemies as well if you want to, and as it mentions, it applies a mark of Moonlight, which I'll explain what that does in just a second. Diana's second ability is Pale Cascade, which creates 3 spheres that orbits around Diana for a few seconds, and upon contact with enemies, the spheres detonate, dealing magic damage. And it also grants a shield as well that absorbs damage, and if the third siphon detonates, the shield is increased as well. So really easy ability to understand. When you use the ability, you can see that you get an initial shield and there's 3 orbs that go around you. Once the 3 orbs hit, as it didn't do there you go, you gain even more of a bigger shield. So it's really nice ability. You can use this early on during a laning phase to walk up and to clear minion waves or to try and trade against the enemy champions. But yeah, pretty self-explanatory ability. You mainly want to use this when you're on top of the enemies, when you're dashing on top of them with your third ability. For Diana's third ability, we have Lunar Rush, which allows Diana to dash to a point near an enemy, dealing magic damage and removing Moonlight in an area. Lunar Rush's cooldown is reduced to 0.5 seconds if it removes Moonlight from an enemy. So that's kind of where the first ability and the third ability combo comes in. So what you can do is, if I remove the 0-second cooldown, if I use my first ability, as I mentioned before, I can then use my third ability on top of that, and as you can see, it will be reduced to 0.5 seconds. If I use my dash normally though, as you can see, it's on quite a big cooldown, about 10 seconds for a cooldown. So it's really important that most of the time when you use Lunar Rush, that you make sure that you use your first ability first, unless you want to combo it straight away with your ultimate. What you can do is you can use your first ability to poke in lane, use your Lunar Rush to dash in, auto attack a few times, and then use your Lunar Rush to dash away as well. Again, it kind of depends how long you have and kind of the, I guess, frame time that you have between dashing forward and dashing backwards, because that Moonlight passive on an enemy doesn't last the entire time. And lastly, we have Diana's ultimate, which is Moonfall, which you can hold, which summons the moon, slowing enemies by 20% and applying Moonlight in a growing area. And when you let go of the ability, when you cast it, it slams the moon down, spiraling enemies towards Diana and dealing magic damage as well. Now, the charge time and the damage numbers get increased with how long you hold the ability. So say for example, if I just tap my ultimate, it won't do as much damage. As you can see, only does, what, 380 damage. But if I hold the ability, it means it's going to do even more damage. So as you can see there, 1,400 damage. Now this is where your Moonlight comes in again. So you can use your ultimate to get Moonlight, which means you can dash multiple times again as well. Use your first ability as well to also dash. So that's your kind of main parts really, is you need to make sure you use your ultimate and you're using your dash to always get on top of the enemies, but make sure that you don't stack Moonlight on top of each other, so you're kind of wasting a dash if you do that. Moving on to the combos. Now there's a pre-level 5 combo that you can use during the laning phase. This is making full use of that first ability and third ability combo, also on top of your auto attacks. So what you want to do is, most of the time you want to auto attack the minions a few times. You want to auto attack the minions 1 or 2 times. Then what you can do is you can use your first ability, dash, and then use your passive on your your auto attack passive. This is kind of the main part where you want to dash forward, use your extra damage that you get from your passive, and then dash away. I'll show you quickly again. So you auto attack twice on minions, use your Q, dash in, use your passive, and then dash straight back out to minions. So you need to make sure that when you're using your first ability, if you use it on minions, that means you can dash forward pretty freely onto the enemy champions, trade a little bit, and then dash away to safety straight afterwards. And then you have your all-in combo when you use all your abilities to deal the most damage possible. So you want to use your first ability and your third ability combo again, and then use your W whilst you're in the air. So when you dash towards the enemy champions, that sphere, the balls that basically surround you will be able to deal the damage straight away. So you do Q, E, W, use your ultimate as well, which means you have multiple stacks of your passive as well, and then you can use even your first ability again. As you can see, 4,300 damage in that short amount of time can be really, really strong, especially during them big massive team fights. For the leveling priority at level 1, you want to go for your first ability. This can be used during the laning phase if you feel like you're struggling a little bit in terms of trying to get damage down or trying to farm minions. You can use your first ability at range. You can also start with your second ability as well if you're against another melee assassin, so you can use that shield early on to get a few trades. Then level 2, you want to go for your second ability to just get the shields early on and help you clear out the minion waves. Level 3, you want to go for your third ability, and then you want to make sure you max your first ability. Your first ability is kind of one of your main damage sources that doesn't include your ultimate, so you need to make sure you max this first, and then you want to go for your second ability and then your third ability. The reason why you level up your third ability last is because most of the time with your third ability, you're only going to be using it when you have that moonlight passive on an enemy champion, either from your ultimate or from your first ability. And to be honest, it doesn't do that much damage. It's mainly used for the mobility, so your second ability and your first ability and even your ultimate can do the most damage possible. Alright, on to the gameplay with Diana we go. So yeah, in the laner phase, Diana doesn't really do too much, to be fair. You just have to kind of farm up and wait until you get to that level 5 point and wait until you get to the point where you feel like you can actually team fight. I'm against Yasuo in this lane. So you're going to see that my my leveling order should have been probably a little bit different this game. Compared to what it is. I did start with Q, but to be honest, in this lane, I probably should have started with W so I can walk up and contest these early creeps, because obviously Yasuo is melee. Yasuo is going to walk up and be in melee range. So starting W sometimes in these certain matchups is normally the best thing to do. But as you'll see throughout the most of this laning phase, I will be playing from left to right, as I've mentioned already, trying to get as many hits as I can from my first ability, trying to clear the minion wave as much as possible. You can see that, you know, most of the time with Diana, you will be playing very, very passive. You will just be trying to do that, trying to poke with your first ability and trying to just get as much damage down as you can possible to the enemy champions, and also trying to farm as many minions as well. So that's all that's really happening here. In this game, we've got, I believe we've got Graves jungle against a Wukong jungle as well. So I know that Wukong might be trying to gank me in the early game. The wind wall is kind of annoying for Diana because it can block both your first ability and your second ability. You can still dash. That will still work completely fine, but your first or your second ability can be blocked. So it can be a little bit difficult at times with the abilities. So as you can see, there's a bit of an exchange happening. I probably could have roamed a little bit earlier. But Jinx does get the first blood here. And I'm going to try and help out as well and follow up. Unfortunately, I missed my Q, but I'm going to E to the Scuttle Crab. Wukong's going to try his best to get the Scuttle Crab. As you can see, I'm going to basically stick on Wukong, try and kill Wukong, so he basically can't really do much at all. And in the end, it did work out. So nice little roam by Yasuo. Unfortunately, got caught out. So we were able to kind of counter roam, and Yasuo tried his best to try and take the Scuttle Crab. Or the Wukong did, sorry, tried to take his, try his best to take the Scuttle Crab. But unfortunately wasn't able to. So I'm just going to push the lane here. And I'm going to go back to base and spend the money that I got. So you can see that I'm already at about 800 gold leads already at the start of this game. So pretty good start. Crazy stuff happening in bot lane as well. Just crazy tower dives and everything happening. Yasuo is going to look to roam again. I think Yasuo roams a lot this game, if I remember. I feel like I'm not going to get to bot lane in time. So instead I'm just going to push out the mid wave. Maybe, I think Yasuo doesn't get a single kill here because of the lantern. Yeah, if I remember, yeah. So Yasuo doesn't get a single kill with the roam, so I'm just going to push mid lane, try and deny Yasuo as much farm as possible. So you can see that Yasuo's already roamed quite a bit and kind of got nothing out of it. He died once, and also he got into a situation where he just didn't get anything at all going. The cool thing about the first ability and the third ability combo actually is that something I kind of forgot to mention in the ability section is that when you use your first ability, you can actually use your third ability before your first ability hits, if that makes sense. So you can first ability and then instantly use your third ability. But if your first ability misses, obviously it goes on longer cooldown. If your first ability hits after you use your third ability, then you'll be able to, you know, dash again. It'll have that 0.5 second cooldown. You'll probably see it happen sometimes. I think I actually made a mistake in one of these moments that I kind of want to explain to you all, kind of the mistakes that I made. But you can see the wind wall is quite annoying. The shield doesn't come through for Diana, and also the damage as well, which can be a little bit annoying. Jinx popping off in the bot lane again. Yasuo is still trying to roam, still trying to make plays. Unfortunately, can't make any plays at all. The dragon's up in about a few seconds. I probably should have gone back to base at this point. I think this was the best time for me to go back to base because I had my Rod of Ages. And also, I didn't really need to push this next wave, to be fair. But I pushed it anyway. And then we're going to go back now and probably get... Oh, no. I'm not going to go back. Okay, now I definitely should be going back to base because the dragon is up. And I can go back and get my Rod of Ages. Now, obviously, with Rod of Ages, you want to try and get it as soon as possible. Because the later you delay Rod of Ages, the later you're going to get that spike of being able to get the extra health, ability power, and also mana. So again, I'm still delaying my back here. I don't know why. And now the dragon's up. And now, yeah, we're just completely off the pace. But my jungler's top side anyway. So I know that we can't really contest it. We can't really do anything about it. But again, I should be going back to base by now. I don't know what I'm doing. I use my dash here. Forces out the Yasuo flash as well. I could have used my ulti straight away. But to be honest, I think Yasuo flash would have got out of range. I think the crazy thing about Diana is if you hold your ultimate, even if someone flashes away, most of the time they're not going to be able to move out of the way in time, if that makes sense. So they'll get into a situation where even if they flash away, they'll still die anyway, basically. See, I dodged Tornado. I'm going to look to go in here with my ultimate, use my dash, use my ultimate as well. And I'm able to nearly kill him. Unfortunately, I'm not able to. If I did my first ability or my third ability there, I probably would have killed him. But I think my first ability was still on a little bit of a cooldown. But I'm delaying this back way too long here. Again, if I probably went back and I got Rod of Ages, I probably would have been able to kill him as well. And again, I'm still not going back to base. But yeah, this was a mistake that I made. This is exactly what I was talking about. So I want to go back and quickly show you all what I did. So what I did here is I tried to use my my first ability and then use my third ability straight afterwards. But the problem was that I didn't land my first ability. Now, with the third ability of Diana, the way the target lock-in or the system lock works is that if you land your first ability, your third ability will automatically go there. But the problem is that I use my third ability before the first ability hits. So it will go to, there you can see there, it will go to, I think this is the nearest target. It's probably the nearest target. Or maybe it's the lowest health target. I'm not really too sure. But as you can see, I use my third ability before my first ability hits. And it kind of messes up. It's a little bit of a mistake on my part. That I jumped to the clone there instead of jumping to Wukong. So that's sometimes where you have to be a little bit careful. Because sometimes you will dash to a target that you're not using your first ability on. Which is obviously a situation like that. So yeah, I delayed this back by quite a lot, to be honest with you. I probably should have gone back a long time ago. Because now my Rod of Ages is starting at 6 minutes. That means I'm not going to get the full stacks until about, like, you know, 16 minutes into the game. Which is a little bit annoying. But it's fine either way. You know, it's completely fine. We should be in a pretty okay spot. But that's something that I would give you guys in terms of a tip. Is that you can use your first ability and then use your third ability straight afterwards. To kind of surprise the enemies in a way and jump on top of them. And you'll still get a 0.5 second cooldown. But sometimes in situations like that, it's not the best option. Especially when there's other enemies around. Little bit of mistake. We're going to jump onto Kennen here. We're going to use our flash to make sure we can get the combo onto the Kennen. Dash back in as well. We're a nice juicy kill. We die for it. But we still got the trade kill on Kennen. Trying to think what I could have done. I mean, to be fair, I could have just used my first ability and third ability combo and then ultimate. But I didn't know if Kennen had ultimate as well. So that's why I quickly flashed and then used my ultimate. So even if Kennen flashed away, I can still pull him towards me. That's one of the situations where if you don't know some of the spells are up for the champions, then it can be a little bit difficult to use your dash and then use your ultimate. Because if they flash away early enough, then they'll be able to flash away from the ultimate range as well. A little bit of limit testing there, you could say. A little bit of limit testing to see what I can do and see how much damage I can do. But to be honest, Dyna at this point of the game doesn't do a lot of damage at all. Really doesn't do a lot of damage. And kind of could be a little bit of a struggle. Because you need to get, I would say, like at least 2 or 3 items until you get to a decent point of the game. So I'm dashing onto Yasuo here. I'm going to try and get onto the backline though. As long as I can get onto the backline and kill the Lulu and the Kennen. Which I kill the Kennen here. And I'm going to kill the Lulu straight afterwards as well. Which is quite nice. Wukong's behind us, but to be honest, that's totally fine. My main job kind of in these team fights is jumping onto the backline and making sure I can kill the Lulu. And also the Kai'Sa as well onto the backline. But to be honest, if I kill Lulu most of the time, then Lulu won't be able to do the heals, the shields, and everything like that she can offer. So a pretty decent fight. I kind of left my team on the backline, but we was able to, me and Nasus were able to kill Ken and Lulu in the end, which is pretty decent. We go back to get our death cap now, which I'm going to do. Dragon's up in 10 seconds as well, so this is a good time to go back. You know, about 5 seconds will give you enough time to walk towards the dragon. Go for the Lucidity boots as well. Now, Lucidity boots can be changed to like Mercury treads because Dyna can struggle a little bit against a lot of crowd control. So Mercury treads is not that bad. I'm kind of explaining here to the stream about the situation that happened. We got a little bit of a pick off. The Kai'Sa's trying to push the mid lane, so I'm just going to defend the mid wave here because I know that my team have got the dragon under control. So my main point there was to move into the mid lane so Kai'Sa couldn't walk up and try and take the tower, which they weren't able to do. They move up into the top side of the map instead. So yeah, Kai'Sa and Lulu are kind of just on top of each other at the moment, making sure that, you know, champions like me or Nasus or even Graves can't jump on top of them. So it's quite a decent spot to be in, to be fair. I mean, we got the death cap, we got a Rod of Ages. Again, Nash's Tooth doesn't really need to get built, to be honest with you. You can go Nash's Tooth if you want to split push, but in this game, I know that I want to try and jump onto the Lulu and the Kai'Sa and try and one-shot them. So that's kind of my best bet to one-shot them, is to try and use my ultimate and kind of get that one-shot potential. So a little bit of a mistake here from me. As you can see, I mess up everything, and yeah. I kind of went over to walls. I kind of tunnel visioned for some reason. I have no idea what happened. But I tunnel visioned onto getting the Raptors instead of going for... instead of helping the team out for the team fight. To be honest, Jinx should have been that far ahead anyway in the bot lane. Jinx was like all the way up towards like the tier 2 tower up here. Which should have never been the situation in the first place. But yeah, I guess it's one of situations where I should probably look at my minimap and I should probably see that the rest of my team is in a little bit of a difficult spot. So I have to try and be able to, you know, capitalize, I guess, on their mistakes and try and help the team out where I can. Because in a situation like that, not the best idea. Not the best idea to just farm Raptors when the rest of my team are trying to fight. So the Baron's up in about 20 seconds. I don't think we're going to have blue buff here, no. I mean, to be fair, I don't really need blue buff as a Dyna. Dyna doesn't really need blue buff that much. I mean, the extra healing and the extra mana can help a little bit. But to be honest, for the extra health and the extra mana that you get, this is a cool little play here. We kind of get a little pick off here onto the Lulu. Use the ultimate. And we basically just one-shot Lulu. We jump onto the back line, jump onto Lulu. We use our stasis to kind of stop everything as well. Use the lantern to go back in. But yeah, that was a nice situation where the vision control was actually pretty good. Because the Kai'Sa and Lulu tried to catch us out, but in the end it was kind of the other way around. It was actually me catching out the Lulu instead. Which is quite nice. We're able to kill Wukong as well. I think Wukong's going like full damage, which is a little bit disgusting, to be honest with you. I don't think you should ever go full damage on someone like a Wukong. I think going tanky is a lot better option. But yeah, there's a good play that you can see that you can use your first ability and then use your third ability to kind of surprise the enemy so you can dash onto them. And even though I used my third ability before my first ability hits, it still goes on that 0.5 second cooldown. So it's a nice little combo that I think a lot of people should really understand with Dyna, because it's really, really interesting that that's how it works. Even though the third ability said it removes the moonlight, and the moonlight is not there in the first place. Kind of weird the way it works, but that's just how it works anyway. So pretty good spot. So we're gonna go, we got our Void Staff. We're now gonna go for Morellonomicon to get a little bit of anti-heal because Kai'Sa's gonna have a little bit of healing. Same with the Lulu as well. But we did really well to jump on top of the Lulu, and that's the thing. If you could jump on top of, you know, squishy targets like the Lulu, that means that they can't shield, they can't heal, and they can't do anything at all. So yeah, Wukong is very squishy, as you can see. With Duskblade, Ghostblade. So a little bit of a an interesting build. I'll try and use my Q over the wall to see if I can QE. I can't QE over that wall. I honestly, because obviously with champion side Diana that I don't really play too much, sometimes it's kind of interesting. Really good dodge here by Kennen, actually, but unfortunately for the Kennen, the Thresher kits. But again, that's another situation where if your first ability doesn't land and you use your third ability, then it will go on a long cooldown. So you need to make sure that your first ability is going to hit. And as I said, Kennen did really well to dodge the first ability there. We can go back and try and get the Oblivion Orb if we want to, but to be honest, we're in a really good spot. Thresh is going to, unfortunately, miss the hook. I don't know how he's missed the hook there, to be honest with you. Jinx gets in a little bit of trouble, but I'm kind of just waiting for the right moment here. I think that's kind of the main thing with Diana, is that you don't need to be over-aggressive at times. Sometimes you need to wait for the right moment for you to jump in and use your ultimate. Which, as you can see here, I see all of them grouped up together. And I'm going to try and jump onto the backline. You can see Lulu on the backline as well. Jump on top of her. Jump on top of the Wukong as well. So yeah, you can see that I wasn't over-aggressive in the mid lane because I knew my Jinx got caught out. And I knew we were at a disadvantage. So I knew in that situation, it's like, okay, if I jump in and use my ultimate, maybe I could try and do a little bit of damage. But I'm probably not going to kill anyone. So I'm waiting for the rest of my team to, you know, group up. The rest of my team to be able to capitalize on the mistakes of them overextending, which they did in the end. So that's kind of the thing with Dino, is that you need to make sure that you don't play over aggressive and you don't, I guess, take risks that you don't need to. I guess that's the best way of explaining it. Because sometimes there'll be situations where you see 5 people together and you think to yourself, oh, I need to go in, I need to engage, 5-man ultimate, all this sort of stuff. But if you're by yourself, then you can get one shot yourself as well, because you're not really the most tanky target. Even if you have Rod of Ages, you're not tanky at all. You don't have a lot of armor or magic resist or anything like that. Unfortunately, the Graves completely missed the blast cone there. But yeah, we're in a really strong spot now. We'll be able to pretty much one-shot anyone here. And like I said, my main targets are always to do with the Kai'Sa and the Lulu. But yeah, I don't know what the Wukong's doing here. As you can see, Wukong just got completely one-shot by my combo. I kind of predicted where he was going to move with the shadows. I was able to get a nice quick and easy kill, and then you can see the follow-up afterwards as well. So you can see how much burst damage you can do. Like I said, I basically one-shot that Wukong in the end. Not the most mechanically gifted game, but there were a couple of mistakes in this game that I wanted to point out, and a couple of, you know, tips that I wanted to give you as well. Kind of more of like a self-aware sort of situation, that you need to make sure that sometimes you're not going to be in a position where you're going to feel comfortable enough to go in. So you need to make sure that you wait until the right moment, use your combos, use your first ability, your third ability to go in with your ultimate, and then after that you'll be completely fine. But yeah, 20,000 damage. We still did pretty well overall in the end. Kai'Sa tried to carry, but unfortunately the rest of Kai'Sa's team was too heavy. But yeah, that's it for the Diana guide. Thank you all for tuning in. I appreciate it as always. I'll tune in. Hopefully you tune in to the next Wild Rift video. As always, take care, and I'll see you all very soon. Peace.